Welcome back. This is the Weekend Report. I'm Masachaba Mposwa. The ongoing inquiry into the road accident fund by the Committee on Public Accounts heard testimony this week on how millions of rands continue to be paid to suspended employees. Now, currently, more than 30 employees are suspended, awaiting hearings and disciplinary proceedings since 2021, who are still receiving payment. So far, this figure totals more than 40 million rand. A former senior official told the committee that the suspended employees mostly face serious misconduct charges and that investigations needed to be conducted from a legal and compliance standpoint, which is why they're taking so long. So let's discuss this now with ActionSA MP Alan Beesley. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Thanks for your time.
Good morning to you. Good morning to your viewers, and thank you for having me.
Now, firstly, Alan, 40 million rand paid to 35 suspended employees since 2021. It's over 1 million rand per person just to sit at home. How is this even legal?
Yeah, it's not legal because the RAF have in their policy that a maximum of 6 months. So what's happened in these cases, you've got good, competent staff who've made a stand against the corruption and incompetence that's been playing at Road Accident Fund. So they've just been suspended indefinitely. So it's just absolutely bizarre. It's absolutely outrageous that the RAF have been using all South Africans' money. We know we all contribute to the fuel levy. So it's absolutely outrageous that this amount has been spent. But there's also the personal cost of these people sitting at home. You know, whilst they're getting paid to sit at home, you know, imagine coming home every day and asking, you know, why you aren't work? No, I'm on suspension. So you've got this cloud hanging over you indefinitely. So it is totally unacceptable on many fronts. And certainly, sorry, carry on.
Sure. No, I mean, it's a very cushy cloud, if you had to ask me. But as you were in the Scopa hearing, what was the most shocking revelation about how this was allowed to continue for 4 years?
Yeah, so it is a shocking thing. And when we asked the guys, he actually couldn't give a proper response at all. He was the head of HR. And it's not only these staff that are on suspension. Many good staff have actually been fired in this process. And what they're using is they're bringing huge legal firms and legal companies to fight ordinary employees. So on top of these costs of suspension, you've got these massive legal fees that are being used to fight good, honest people. And that's why we're just saying it's unacceptable. And on a human level, it's just totally unkind. I mean, to be suspended for 4 or 5 years, when the policy says 6 months, it's just bizarre. It just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah. So now, if you could just tell us in greater detail what these 35 people are actually suspended for.
So it's the most bizarre thing. I mean, some of them, the CEO just didn't like them. So essentially, that's what came to it, because they stood up and because they've changed the whole operating model at the RAF. It's become a cesspool of corruption and incompetence. So many of these staff would raise legitimate issues, and then they would be suspended for no reason. And that's why the suspension has taken so long, because they know if it ever went to a proper disciplinary hearing or proper CMA or court, they would actually lose the case. So they just kept people suspended indefinitely. So they actually don't have a strong case. And if they did have a strong case, they would make sure the disciplinary process. So essentially what they said, we don't like you. You go home, we just keep on paying your salary.
Now, who specifically authorized keeping these 35 people on full pay for 4 years? Are we talking about senior management protecting their own?
Yeah, definitely. There was a cabal in the Road Accident Fund, and I'd go so far as to say a bunch of sociopaths. That's what has come out in this hearing. So if anybody went against the CEO and his cabal, they were basically either trumped up charges or they were dismissed. And as I said, it's you and me and your listeners. Every single person is paying for this is because we contribute to the Road Accident Fund every time we put in petrol.
So how does the Road Accident Fund justify spending tens of millions of rand on people who are not working, while the fund itself is reportedly in deep financial trouble?
Well, they can't justify it, and that's why it's just so bizarre and it's so outrageous. I mean, we've estimated that there are unrecorded liabilities in the Road Accident Fund, which was confirmed by an actuary of over 500 billion. And it's an enormous figure. So it's absolutely bizarre that they can pay these people huge amounts of money, yet there's the accident fund is in a huge financial distress. It's just nonsensical And it just comes to an organization that was in total free fall and just a lack of governance by the board of directors, by the Sixth Parliament, because you once got to actually ask where Sixth Parliament was all of in this, and the Minister of Transport.
And now, has a single one of these 35 cases moved forward, been finalized? Has anyone been fired or charged or cleared?
No, not at the moment, and that's why they're still on suspension. So we've only got the list of the current people that are on suspension. So in this period, people may have been taken back, people may have been dismissed. So this is only the current list that's on suspension. But as we said, 4 years is just, I mean, that's 48 months, and the policy says 6 months. It's just bizarre.
So how do we rebuild public trust when government institutions keep rewarding failure, essentially?
So it's a vital question. What we've got to do, and everything rises and falls on leadership. I mean, that is the key. So ultimately, it's the board of directors and in the road accident fund that need to be held to account. So, I mean, and they've been paid big board fees. So everything rises and falls on leadership. So if you get a good board of directors and they set the tone, everything follows. Because if you've got a sociopath as a CEO, he should not be able to manipulate the board. And that's what's happened in this case. So everything rises and falls on leadership. And also the other thing too is in state institutions, good, honest people are hounded out. And we need to make sure that good, honest people in the public service are actually seen as actually heroes, because many of them are standing up against the corrupt. And then the other big thing is there needs to be consequences. We need to see the corrupt in orange overalls. They need to be in jail. And until that actually happens, it's going to keep on going and public trust will always be undermined. We need a strong board, we need people in jail, and we need to look after the good and competent people.
All right, before I let you go, Alan, and very briefly, ActionSA has been vocal about government waste. What specific action are you demanding now to stop this immediately?
So, we were one of the huge big drivers of this inquiry at Scopa. That's the first thing. Second thing is the very first meeting that I attended to, in the 7th Parliament, ActionSA has only been the very first meeting I attended to when the RAF board came to Scopa. I sent a letter to the Minister of Transport and said, this is actually a debacle. These people need to be dismissed. And hats off to the Minister. She listened and she dismissed the board. So that's why this inquiry is vital. The amount of stuff that we're actually digging up. So from Scopa's point of view, from ActionSA's point of view, we will be sending a report once inquiries through to Parliament, and we will be making sure that the recommendations are implemented. And that is my commitment to the people of South Africa. ActionSA's commitment is we will make sure the recommendations are implemented.
All right, Alan, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
That was ActionSA Member of Parliament, Alan Beesley.